The old Willowridge Manor stood at the edge of the village, a relic of a time long past. Its towering walls were wrapped in ivy, its windows shattered, its stories whispered in hushed tones among the villagers. But to 16-year-old Abeni Cohn, it was a place of solace, a hidden sanctuary away from the expectations of her world. Abeni was no ordinary girl. Born into a prominent West African family, she was expected to follow the path laid before her: prestige, tradition, and duty. But her heart longed for freedom, for stories untold, and mysteries unsolved. The manor was her escape, a place where she could breathe, away from the watchful eyes of her strict grandmother, Mama Beezy, and her ever-busy father, Chief Cohn. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Abeni made her way toward the manor, her heart pounding with anticipation. The villagers spoke of the place with fear, warning of curses and spirits that never rested. But Abeni was drawn to it in a way she could not explain. Something inside her whispered that she belonged there, that there was a story yet to unfold. She stepped past the broken iron gates, the crunch of leaves beneath her sandals the only sound in the stillness. The grand entrance loomed before her, its wooden doors slightly ajar as if inviting her in. The scent of damp wood and forgotten time filled her nostrils as she stepped inside. Moonlight poured through the gaping holes in the ceiling, illuminating dust motes that floated lazily in the air. The remains of a once lavish chandelier lay shattered on the marble floor. Portraits of long-dead figures lined the walls, their gazes following her as she moved deeper into the manor. A sudden whisper sent a shiver down her spine. "You see them too?" Abeni's breath hitched. She spun around, her heartbeat hammering against her ribs. And there he stood. A boy, or rather, the ghost of one. His skin was the color of deep midnight, smooth yet slightly translucent. His silver eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, filled with longing. His clothes were not of this time: an old, tattered buttoned shirt with frayed suspenders, dusty leather boots, remnants of a life long gone. Her instinct screamed at her to run, but something about him held her in place. There was no malice in his presence, only unbearable loneliness. "Who are you?" she whispered, her voice barely audible over the creaking of the old house. The boy tilted his head, a sad smile touching his lips. "My name is Khamari. And I have been waiting for you." Abeni's throat tightened. Waiting for her? How could that be? She had never set foot in the manor before, had never even considered the idea of ghosts until this very moment. And yet, as she stared into his glowing silver eyes, something inside her stirred, a strange familiarity, as if she had known him once before, in another life. She took a cautious step forward. "Waiting for me?" Khamari nodded, his form flickering slightly as if caught between this world and another. "I don't remember much about my life, only that I died here a long time ago. And for some reason, I can speak to you." Abeni felt the weight of his words settle on her chest. This wasn't just some village ghost story. This was real. Her grandmother had always warned her to stay away from spirits, that they brought nothing but sorrow. But Khamari was different. He wasn't trying to haunt her. He was reaching out. "Why me?" she asked, her voice softer now, curiosity overtaking fear. Khamari hesitated. "I don't know. But I feel like I've known you before. Like you are part of the reason I am still here." Abeni swallowed hard, trying to make sense of the impossible. Ghosts weren't supposed to linger without reason. And if he was tied to her, did that mean their fates were intertwined? A gust of wind swept through the manor, making the broken chandelier chains rattle. Khamari's form flickered again, his expression troubled. "You shouldn't be here," he murmured. Abeni frowned. "Why not?" "Because," he said, his glowing eyes locking onto hers. "Something else is watching." Abeni's blood ran cold. The manor groaned as if it were alive, shadows stretching unnaturally along the walls. A strange presence thickened the air, unseen but unmistakable. It was then that Abeni realized, Khamari was not the only spirit in the manor. Something darker lingered in the halls. Abeni's first instinct was to run. But as she turned, a force like icy fingers wrapped around her wrist. She gasped, looking down, expecting to see Khamari holding her, but his hands were at his sides. The grip tightened, burning into her skin. "Abeni, leave," Khamari urged, his voice urgent now. Before it, a sudden gust of wind howled through the broken windows, and the shadows seemed to lurch forward, reaching for her. Abeni stumbled back, her heart hammering in terror. The presence in the manor was no longer just a whisper. It was waking up. And it did not want her there. Khamari stepped in front of her, his translucent form flickering wildly, as if struggling against something unseen. "Go." Abeni didn't need to be told twice. She turned and ran, bolting through the doors and into the night. The whispers followed her, chasing her into the darkness, but the moment she crossed the threshold of the manor's iron gates, they vanished. The night was still again. She clutched her wrist where the invisible force had grabbed her. A faint, cold burn lingered on her skin. Something unnatural was trapped in that manor. And now, it knew her name. As Abeni stood beneath the moonlight, breathless and shaken, only one thought filled her mind. She had to go back. Abeni couldn't sleep. The manor haunted her thoughts, its whispers curling around the edges of her dreams. The silver glow of Khamari's eyes lingered in her mind, as did the warning he had given her. Something else was there. Something that didn't want her near. But Abeni wasn't one to be scared away so easily. She sat up in bed, pulling her knees to her chest. The moonlight spilled through her bedroom window, casting eerie patterns on the walls. She traced the faint mark on her wrist where the unseen force had grabbed her. It felt cold, even now. Mama Beezy's voice echoed in her memory. "There are spirits who wander, child. Some seek peace. Others seek revenge." Abeni wasn't sure which kind she had encountered, but she knew she had to find out. Khamari had said he had been waiting for her. Why? What connected them? Determined, she slipped out of bed and dressed in quiet movements. A soft breeze carried the scent of damp earth and night-blooming flowers as she stepped out of her family's compound. The village was silent, save for the occasional chirp of crickets. No one would notice her absence. She made her way back to the manor, heart pounding in her chest. As she approached the iron gates, an eerie stillness settled over the land. The air was thick with expectation. Taking a deep breath, she stepped through the gates. This time, she was ready. Abeni returned to the manor, the whispers greeting her like an old friend. The air was thick with anticipation, and as she stepped inside, the shadows seemed to shift. The cold air pressed against her skin, and an eerie sense of familiarity wrapped around her like a forgotten memory. "Khamari," she called softly, her voice echoing through the empty halls. A slow shimmer flickered near the grand staircase, and Khamari materialized, his silver eyes filled with both relief and worry. "You shouldn't have come back," he murmured, his translucent form flickering. "I had to," Abeni insisted, stepping closer. "Something is pulling me here. I need answers. Why do I feel like I've known you forever?" Khamari hesitated before reaching out, his fingers ghosting near hers. The moment their hands almost touched, a shock of energy pulsed through Abeni. Images flooded her mind. A grand hall filled with candlelight. Music. Laughter. A young woman in a flowing dress spinning on the polished floor. Khamari watching her with adoration. A whisper of a promise. Then, darkness. A scream. Cold hands gripping her throat. Pain. Betrayal. Abeni gasped, stumbling backward, her breath ragged. "I was here when you died," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Khamari's expression darkened. "Something kept us apart then. And it still lingers." As if summoned by his words, the temperature plummeted. A sinister presence thickened the air. From the shadows beyond the staircase, a figure emerged, its hollow, glowing red eyes locked onto Abeni. Its form was shrouded in black mist, shifting unnaturally, as if reality itself twisted around it. You should not have returned. Abeni's body froze, her breath caught in her throat. The voice was not human. It was deep, guttural, filled with malice. Khamari stepped protectively between her and the entity. Leave her alone, he commanded, his form solidifying as if fueled by defiance. The wraith let out a guttural hiss before lunging. Abeni felt the icy tendrils of its power reaching for her, pressing against her chest like unseen hands. Panic surged through her, but then, Khamari grabbed her hand. A sudden, brilliant golden light erupted between them, forcing the wraith back. It let out a piercing shriek, writhing as if in agony, before dissipating into the shadows. Abeni collapsed to her knees, her heart pounding in her ears. She looked at Khamari, whose expression was grim but determined. What was that? She panted. Khamari extended a hand to help her up. A spirit of vengeance. It has been keeping me here, feeding off the pain trapped within these walls. Abeni swallowed hard. The wraith had tried to kill her, just like in her vision. Was she doomed to repeat history? Breathing deeply, she met Khamari's eyes. What now? He gave her a small, knowing smile. Now, we find the truth, together. Abeni and Khamari stood in the center of the grand hall, the air still thick with the remnants of the wraith's energy. The golden light that had flared between them faded, leaving only the dim glow of moonlight streaming through the broken windows. We need to understand what truly happened here, Abeni murmured, running her fingers over the ornate carvings on the wall. Why was I here when you died? Khamari's gaze softened. You were more than just a guest, Abeni. You were my love. Abeni's breath hitched. The flashes of memories, the stolen glances, the whispered promises, made sense now. But, how? I don't remember any of it. The wraith, Khamari said grimly. It has been feeding off the past, burying the truth. But our bond is stronger than its curse. As if in response to his words, the walls trembled. The grand chandelier above them flickered with ghostly fire, illuminating the hall in a spectral glow. The house itself seemed alive, groaning under the weight of ancient sorrow. Abeni closed her eyes, reaching into the depths of her mind. The more she focused, the more the memories resurfaced. A masquerade ball. She had been dancing in Khamari's arms, laughing. Then, a figure had appeared, a woman with dark, piercing eyes and a cruel smile. She had whispered something in Abeni's ear, and suddenly, everything had gone cold. Abeni's eyes flew open. Her. She was the one. Khamari nodded, his expression pained. My mother. A chill ran through Abeni. She didn't want us together. She cursed you, Khamari said. She made sure you forgot, made sure we were separated even in death. Abeni felt fury rise in her chest. No more. I want to remember everything. Khamari stepped closer, his fingers grazing her cheek. Then we must break the curse. Before she could respond, the air around them twisted, and the manor itself began to shift. The doors slammed shut, trapping them inside. The shadows lengthened, and a voice echoed through the room, cold, cruel, and unmistakably familiar. You cannot undo what has been done. Abeni turned, her heart pounding. Standing at the top of the grand staircase was the ghostly form of Khamari's mother, her eyes burning with malice. The final battle had begun. Abeni clenched her fists, feeling an ancient rage rise within her. This woman, this spectral remnant of hatred, had torn her from Khamari once. She would not let it happen again. You kept us apart, Abeni said, stepping forward. You killed me, didn't you? Khamari's mother tilted her head, a smirk playing on her lips. And I will do it again. The wraith lunged, black tendrils shooting toward Abeni. But this time, she was ready. She reached for Khamari's hand, and as their fingers met, a golden light erupted from their touch. The wraith shrieked, recoiling as the radiance scorched the air around her. No, she screeched, writhing in agony. This cannot be. Khamari stepped forward, his voice steady and strong. Your hatred bound us to this curse. But love is stronger than your darkness. The manor groaned, the walls cracking as the magic that had held it together for centuries began to unravel. Abeni felt a pull deep within her chest, memories flooding her mind in a rush. She remembered everything, the love, the stolen moments, the betrayal. And with that remembrance came power. With one final cry, she and Khamari raised their joined hands. A brilliant wave of light burst forth, engulfing the wraith in its glow. She screamed, her form unraveling into the wind. The house shook violently, then stilled. Silence. Abeni turned to Khamari, breathless. Is it over? He smiled, the edges of his form shimmering. Yes. But as the curse lifted, so did Khamari's hold on this world. His body began to fade, his eyes filled with longing. Abeni, I. Before he could disappear completely, Abeni pressed her lips to his. A golden light surrounded them both, and when she opened her eyes, she found herself outside the ruins of the manor. The house was gone. The curse was broken. And in her heart, she knew Khamari would always be with her.